Good morning, great morning, wonderful morning, spectacular, outstanding morning, magnificent morning. Yes, it is so. And the reason why it is so is because I've decided it is so. Little tongue twister there. See, it's that beautiful reminder of choice that you have, that I have, that every single one of us has. Remember, you always have a choice. You always get to choose how you're going to think. You do not have to consent to being subject to what's happening in the outer world. Outer world meaning the circumstances, conditions, results, outcomes. Remember, everything is fundamentally meaningless. Everything just is. Nothing is good or bad. It's our thinking that makes it so. And again, going full circle, you're the one who gets to choose. So you get to imagine whatever you want when it comes to the things that are happening. And if you have a strong imagination, a vivid one that's rooted in always looking for the good, seeing the good, guess what'll happen? Your vibratory state will shift, which then will open up your mind to see things that you aren't seeing. And right there, that is incredible. When you think about this for you when it comes to achieving a goal. So you have to have this incredible power of which you have access to think this truth regardless of the appearance. And remember what Wallace Waddles says. He says, there's nothing that shrinks the minds of more men and women than that of sustaining consecutive thought. It is the hardest work in the world. It is so freaking hard. Why? Because we've been conditioned to think about the appearances instead of the truth. But with that being said, when you have that power, when you are able to think about how you would love things to be instead of things as they are, you can get what you want. Yeah, that's what's available to you. And this is what we're leading and guiding you towards. You know, it's so amazing in tying into this book that Dolly and I put together. There's no such thing as self-sabotage. It's such an incredible book that shatters the illusion that you're stopping you, you're in your own way, that you're self-sabotaging to invite you into reuniting yourself with who you truly are. And you know what's amazing is when you do get that introduction and when you see it and when you see what's really in the way, which is not you, it's the conditioning that you have, what's buried in you subconsciously, you know what starts to change? Everything. And this is why we study these great books that we're studying right now. Master Key System by Charles Haanel. Make sure you have the copy of this and go order it on Amazon. If you don't know exactly where to get it, just follow the link that we provide to you and it'll help you to get that. The whole point being is that we study these beautiful books coming from people who understood it better than us, but with one big caveat, and that is to implement it. And you know that that's what the rule is, right? And we're sharing that with you. What's the golden rule? Application, baby. You got to use it. Gathering this information is not going to serve you. You have to use it. Apply, apply, practice, practice, practice. You know, this brings up something really cool about practice because a lot of us think and believe that practice makes perfect. Have you heard that before? Practice makes perfect. It's not true. Practice makes permanent. Practice makes permanent. Write that down. Practice makes permanent. And why does it make it permanent? Well, it's because when you practice, 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 it embeds something within you subconsciously, which is called a habit. And this is why we're constantly sharing with you to practice, practice, practice. So make sure that you're doing just that. All right, so let's dive into where we are, shall we? Let's go into the master key system. And I'll switch this over. Ta-da. Now, we went over this in the last session, but guess what? We're going to go over it again. Why? Because it's freaking important. And it has everything to do with you achieving this. So this is page 153. Successful men make it their business to hold ideals of the conditions which they wish to realize. They have a strong will. You must have a strong will to materialize the outcome you seek. Remember the story I shared with you before about what Bob Proctor told me? And for those of you who haven't heard it, you're going to hear it's pretty cool. I shared with Bob how I was, and I said, I want this change and I want this change to happen fast, and told him what that change was. And he looked at me and goes, there's no other way but through the will. I went, oh. What's interesting is I heard it, but I was going in my mind, I was going, what are you talking about? So what do you say? Okay, through the will. What's the will? It was you have to focus instead of being scatterbrained or have this thing called squirrelitis, where your mind's all over the place. No, you got to stop that and focus. Now, how do you get a really strong will? Practice. And that's what successful men, women, individuals do. They make it their business. In other words, they get involved with holding ideals of the conditions they wish to realize, of what they would love to see in the outer world, and they become one with the ideal. They constantly hold, there's the word again, in mind the next step necessary for the ideal which they are striving. So yes, they have their big goal, but then they have these points, these milestones that they are locking onto along the way. It's very important for you to have milestones too. So as I say, for instance, you're wanting to earn $1 million in a year or a month, whatever that is for you. Set milestones. You got to get to 100,000 before you get to 200, before you get to 300. Thoughts are the materials with which they build. And the imagination is their mental workshop. Thoughts are the materials from which you build. You must think, and your imagination is the opening to the life that you seek. Remember, you have an imagination. Imagination is the starting point of all creation. Write that in your notes. Imagination's the starting point of all creation. There's not a single thing in the room you're in right now that's there, that was made, that was not first an image in someone's mind before it became that material thing. And this includes all the results around you. Even you being here. Think about that. You being here, whether it's live or watching the replay, is the result of you being emotionally involved with an image which led to you watching this. This is a manifestation. Manifestation is nothing more than thought externalization. But think about that. That's how you being here happened. And that's how everything's delivered. All of it. Thoughts are the materials with which they build, and the imagination is their mental workshop.